Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. So far, I've been your host, Zero Yeti. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first animal week being the green-backed fire-crowned hummingbird, Cephononides, which is a hummingbird in the Coquettes tribe Lesboninae of the subfamily Lesboninae, which is native throughout Argentina, Chile, and the Juan Fernandez Islands. Here, the species inhabits temperate forests and plantations of introduced eucalyptus, as well as fruit orchards, thickets, and gardens at up to 6,600 feet or 2,000 meters in elevation. They are one of the most vital pollinators in their range and feed primarily upon the nectar of a variety of native and introduced flowering plants, favoring those of the genus Abutilon, Uintatherium, and Fuchsia. I probably butchered those. And sometimes perches on the flowers to feed rather than hovering like other hummingbirds typically do. The green-backed firecrowns are themselves eaten by felines, frogs and toads, snakes, lizards, spiders, large predatory insects, and smaller birds of prey. Reaching around 3.9 to 4.1 inches or 10 to 10.5 centimeters in length and around 0.16 to 2 ounces or 5 to 5.5 grams in weight. The green-backed firecrown is a sexually dimorphic species with larger short-billed males and smaller, longer-billed females. Adults of both sexes have bronzy green upper parts and slatty green wings and tails. The pale buff underparts with black and green spots. Adult males have the eponymous iridescent red-yellow crown. Juveniles of both sexes have rusty feathered edges on the head, and the underparts have a cinnamon tone. The greenbacked firecrown's typical song is a series of high-pitched notes interspersed by gravelly trills and squeaky notes. Typically and forgive me for butchering this, Pashi, Pashi, Cree, Ski, 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 Pashi song. Their mating season occurs from September to December, and after mating, the male and female go their separate ways. The female constructs a small cup-shaped nest out of plant materials, hair, feathers, and spider webbing, where she will lay a clutch of 2 white eggs. Under ideal conditions, the greenback firecrown may live upwards of 5 years. Next up is a personal favorite, Palaemontes paladosus, also better known as the ghost shrimp, glass shrimp, or eastern grass shrimp, is a species of freshwater shrimp native to the southeastern United States. Here they can be found throughout freshwater ponds, lakes, and streams east of the Appalachian Mountains, from Florida all the way up into New Jersey. They have also been introduced throughout California, Mexico, Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma. They are a primarily nocturnal species and a somewhat social species, which lives in large groups and spends their time amongst beds of various aquatic vegetation, where they feed upon algae, plankton, the aquatic plants themselves, detritus, and smaller invertebrates, chiefly aquatic insects and their larvae. Ghost shrimp are themselves preyed upon by various fish, crayfish, water birds, turtles, and amphibians. Reach around 1 to 2 inches or 25 to 50 millimeters in length, ghost shrimp sport a notably transparent carapace and internal tissues, allowing one to see its internal organs through its integument. This clearness provides a high degree of camouflage, especially in cloudy or muddy water, and is the reason for their common names. The breeding season of these shrimp varies by location and water temperature. During said time, the female's ovaries will take on a greenish color. After mating, the female will lay 8 to 35 eggs, and like many crustaceans, the mother will carry her developing eggs on their abdomens until they hatch some 2 months later. Ghost shrimp larvae development is short, consisting of 3 stages, and under ideal conditions, the ghost shrimp may live upwards of a year. Next up is a long-requested animal, the European hedgehog, also known as the Western European hedgehog or common hedgehog. It is a hedgehog species native to Europe from Great Britain and the Iberian Peninsula eastwards throughout much of Western and Central Europe, from the southern Finno-Scandinavia and northern Baltic to northwest Russia. It has been introduced to Ireland, New Zealand, and many Mediterranean islands, including Corsica, Sardinia, Elba, and Sicily. It can be found in a wide range of habitats, including temperate forests and grasslands, mountainous regions, scrublands, croplands, gardens, pastures, orchards, and vineyards, only really avoiding deserts and particularly wet areas. They are generally solitary creatures which spends their days inside of burrows and emerges at night to feed upon insects, crustaceans, arachnids, mollusks, earthworms, fruits, vegetables, small reptiles, amphibians, rodents, eggs, and carrion. European hedgehogs are themselves preyed upon by foxes, badgers, pine martens, wolverines, golden eagles, and Eurasian eagle owls. Reach around 10 to 12 inches or 25 to 30 centimeters in length and around 18 to 55 ounces in weight or 500 to 1600 grams in weight. Depending on the season, the European hedgehog is the largest species of hedgehog. They sport a wide, lobed body covered in brownish fur and up to 6,000 brown and white spines along its back, sides, and the outside of its limbs. They sport a very short tail and an elongated triangular-shaped head. The breeding season begins with the onset of spring upon the hedgehogs awakening from their winter hibernation. After a 31 to 35 day pregnancy, mothers will typically give birth to 2 to 10 hoglets. The young are weaned at around 6 weeks of age and may live up to 10 years. Next up is the Saddlebill Stork, also known simply as the saddlebill, is a large wading bird in the stork family Ciconidae. It is native and widespread throughout much of sub-Saharan Africa, from Sudan, Ethiopia, and Kenya, south to South Africa, and in the Gambia, Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, and Chad in West Africa. They inhabit wetlands, swamps, river deltas, and seasonal floodplains, where they typically live alone or in mated pairs and feed upon fish, snails, crustaceans, insects, amphibians, small mammals, snakes, lizards, and small birds. Saddlebills are themselves preyed upon by crocodiles, big cats, baboons, and large pythons, reaching upwards of 5 feet or 1.52 meters tall and 15 pounds or 6.8 kilograms in weight, with an up to 8 foot 10 inch or 2.7 meter wingspan. The Saddlebill stork ranks amongst the largest storks, only really being surpassed by the jerboa stork, the greater agenat, and the marabou stork. The neck and head is colored black, as is the wings, with iridescent green sheen across it. It is colored white across the breast, belly, underside, and flight feathers. They have a large, slightly upturned beak, colored with bands of red and black, and at the base of the bill there are 2 small wattles. Females sport yellow eyes, whilst males have brown. Their legs and feet are colored gray, with knees being pinkish, and their breeding season occurs at the end of the rainy season, during which time a pair which typically mates for life, build a large platform nest out of sticks and grasses upon a flooded tree or on a boulder surrounded by water. Here, a female will lay 1 to 5 white eggs, which will be incubated in shifts by both parents for around 30 to 35 days until they hatch, with chicks fledging after 70 to 100 days. Under ideal conditions, a saddlebill stork will reach sexual maturity around 3 years of age and live upwards of 30. Next up is the honey badger, also known as the ratel. It is the only living species in the genus Mellivora in the mustelid subfamily Mellivorinae, and is a widely distributed species found throughout Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian subcontinent. They are a highly adaptable species which can be found in the jungles, temperate forests, savannas, scrublands, wetlands, dry forests, and mountainous regions up to 13,000 feet in elevation. They live alone or in pairs and feed upon a wide range of fruits, vegetables, roots, fungi, insects, honey, eggs, amphibians, particularly reptiles, particularly snakes, birds, rodents, small to medium-sized ungulates, and carrion. The honey badger is notorious for its strength, ferocity, and toughness, and is known to savagely and fearlessly attack almost any other species when escape is impossible. In spite of this, honey badgers are still very rarely preyed upon by leopards, large pythons, hyenas, lions, tigers, wolves, crocodiles, and bears. Reach around 26 to 42 inches, or 67 to 107 centimeters in length, or 9 to 11 inches, or 23 to 28 centimeters tall at the shoulders, and around 11 to 35 pounds, or 9 to 16 kilograms in weight. The honey badger is the third largest badger species behind the European badger and the hog badger. It is a fairly long but thick-set and broad-bodied animal. Its skin is thick but remarkably loose and allows the animal to turn and twist freely within it. The head is small and flat, the limbs are short, and the feet each sport a thick rubbery pad on their bottom, and they are armed with very strong, sharp claws. Breeding occurs year-round. After a 6-month pregnancy, mother honey badgers will typically give birth to 2 babies called kits. Under ideal conditions, a honey badger will reach sexual maturity around 1 to 2 years of age and may live up to 24 years. Next up, we have the Hellbender, Cryptobrachus alleganensis, also known as the snot otter, the lasagna lizard, the devil dog, the mud devil, the mud dog, the water dog, the grampus, the Allegheny alligator, the Lavernian water newt, or Hell's salamander, is a species of aquatic giant salamander endemic to the eastern and central United States. Here they are usually found in cool, fast-flowing rivers and streams and in flooded rocky crevasses, preferring areas with stone or sandy bottoms, and typically avoiding wider, slow-moving waters with muddy substrate. They are typically solitary animals which spend their days underneath driftwood, slabs of rock, or in holes in the river bottom, acting as ambush predators which feed upon insects, crustaceans, worms, mollusks, small fish, and smaller amphibians. Hellbenders are themselves eaten by snapping turtles, water snakes, herons, minks, river otters, and large fish like gar and muskie. Both males and females reach around 12 to 30 inches, or 30 to 75 centimeters in length, and around 3.3 to 5.5 pounds, or 1.5 to 2.5 kilograms in weight, making them the 5th largest amphibian on Earth after the South China giant salamander, the Chinese giant salamander, the Japanese giant salamander, and the Goliath frog. Hellbenders sport a large head with small beady eyes and a massive mouth. They have a dorso-ventrally flattened body with thick folds traveling down their sides, slimy skin, and a single open gill slit on each side of the neck. They have feet with 5 toes each. Their keeled tail is shaped like a rudder, but is rarely used for swimming. Instead, these salamanders use the pads of their toes to grip rocks and walk along the bottom and sides of the river and streams they inhabit. Hellbender has working lungs, but typically breathe through their skin, and they have a typically marbled, dull gray, blotchy brown, or rusty red-brown coloration with a paler underbelly. The breeding season lasts from late August until late November. During such time, males will create a brood site, which is a saucer-shaped burrow under a rock or log, and with its entrance positioned out of the current. Females will then come and inspect these caves, and if found suitable, lay 150 to 200 eggs inside. After mating, the male drives off the females and guards the eggs, incubating and carrying them for 45 to 75 days until they hatch. Under ideal conditions, a hellbender will reach sexual maturity around 5 to 6 years of age and live upwards of 30 years. And our extinct animal of the week is Uintatherium, which is an extinct genus of large herbivorous mammal that lived throughout what is now North America and Eurasia during the Eocene epoch some 56 to 38 million years ago. The first remains of Uintatherium, consisting of a partial skull, were discovered in the Bridger Basin near Fort Bridger, Wyoming, by Lieutenant W.N. Wan in September of 1870, and were later described as a new species of Titanotherium anceps, by Othniel Charles Marsh in 1871. The following year, Joseph Leidy collected in the Eocene beds near Fort Bridger, while Edward Drinker Cope, Marsh's competitor, excavated the Washakie Basin. In August 1872, Leedy named Uintatherium robustum based on the posterior skull and partial mandibles. 18 days after the description of Uintatherium, Cope and Marsh both named new genre of the same fossils. Cope named them Loxolophodon, and Marsh dubbed them Tinoceras. Throughout much of the 1870s and 1880s, the trio and their respective teams would unearth dozens of specimens and name 25 species, which are now considered synonymous with Uintatherium due to the Leedy having created his genus first. Since then, many additional discoveries of mostly complete Uintatherium specimens have been unearthed throughout the United States and the Henan province of China, making it one of the best known and popular Eocene fossil animals. Today, two species are considered valid, Uintatherium anceps and Uintatherium inspiratus, with the name Uintatherium meaning beast of the Uinta Mountains after the area the first remains were found. Reaching around 5 feet or 1.5 meters tall at the shoulder, 13 feet or 4 meters in length, and up to 4,500 pounds or 2,040 kilograms in weight, it was similar to today's rhinoceroses, both in size and in shape. Its most unusual feature was that of its skull, which was large and strongly built, but simultaneously flat and concave, not something found in any living mammal. They sported 6 bony, knob-like ossicones and a pair of downward-pointed long tusks, which resembled those of saber-toothed cats. Although Uintatherium is quite well known in terms of fossils, it continues to be uncertainty about it in regards to which mammals it's most closely related to. Despite looking similar to modern rhinos, it was very different from rhinos of the Eocene, both in terms of size, shape, and lifestyle. Uintatherium seeming to have lived in wetlands, fed upon soft vegetation similar to modern hippos, which it also isn't closely related to. It has also been proposed that Uintatherium shared kinship with elephants, or was a member of the Anagalodia group of mammals and possible ancestors to the lagomorphs, which are rabbits, hares, and pikas, and rodents, which are rats, beavers, porcupines, and others. Most, however, today consider Uintatherium to be an ungulate or hoofed mammal, but how exactly it fits to the other ungulate tree is still not certain. As always, take care of my guys, gals, non-binary pals. Happy Pride Month. Have a wonderful day.